IVM.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Musafir Stories, India's very own travel podcast, where each week we discuss the story of travelers in their own words and relive their experiences with you, our listeners.
Hey guys, welcome to a brand new episode of the Musafir Stories. As always, before starting the episode, a quick shout out to some of our listeners who took time and who wrote to us. Vasu, Karthik, Teki Topse, Varsha, Abhik, Vijay, Mahati, Atul, Sai Aditya, and George. Thank you so much, guys. It is much appreciated. As for today's episode, we have the perfect destination in these monsoon rains. Grab a cup of tea and some hot budgies as our guest Sampath Menon takes you to the coastal gem of South India. A quick heads up, it was pouring down very heavily when we recorded this episode, so there might be some background noise, but we hope it is something you enjoy. So let's get on with today's episode.
So, with that introduction, we'd love to welcome Sampath Menon, a traveler, a techie, and travel writer as well. Sampath, thank you so much for being on the podcast and welcome.
Hey Sampath, welcome to the Musafir Stories.
Thanks, F. Thanks, Faiza. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. Sampath, the introduction that Saif gave about you was very short and concise. So why don't you tell us a little about yourself and also when did the travel bug bite you?
Well, I'm an engineer and an IT professional. I have been an tech entrepreneur as well for a few years. Apart from that, I'm an amateur photographer, a food enthusiast, a part-time traveler. I also do a bit of writing. I record my thoughts on my blog, sampathmk.com. Fairly active on Insta. My handle is Sampath MK. Now, there's no exact time I recollect when the travel bug hit me, but I think it's there in my blood. One of my uncles, he's a big time traveler. He doesn't go much out of Kerala. He's based in Kerala, but what he does is he wakes up in the morning, thinks about where he needs to go, catches a bus, goes there, and comes back in the evening. So he's that kind of a blood, I think, is there in me as well. But I started my travels probably with a few friends of mine. I have got a friend who I call Smiling Buddha. He's my travel organizer of sorts, the brain behind our travels. I do the photography and the reading up, the culture bit of it. And there's another friend of ours too. So the three of us make it a point to travel once a year to different places. Like we've been to Varanasi, we've been to Himachal. Next we're planning a Vietnam trip as well. So travel is something that makes me happy. Now with the lockdown and all that, that's one thing I'm missing really, except for listening to Musafir stories and getting inspired. Yeah, that's what I do.
Thank you, Sampath, and definitely that's with all the talent that you've just spoken. That's like a lot of hats, and I have to say that you've got the perfect genes of your uncle. The travel is in your blood. Yeah. So wonderful.
And the needs of the hour also, right? With COVID and everything, time for all of us to be a little patient and stay home, stay safe, and hopefully it's not too long before all of us can start traveling and doing things that we love most. So, Sampath, with that introduction, right, we spoke a little bit about you and how you got into traveling and writing about it. Why don't you tell us and the listeners where you're taking us to today?
Well, instead of traveling all over the place, I thought it's best to bring you over to a small place in Karnataka that I now call home. It's a sleepy coastal town that's nestled between the Arabian Sea and the Western Ghats. It's a place that's voted as one of the most livable cities in India, and a place that goes by different names in different languages. And it's also known for many of Bollywood beauties, including Aishwarya Rai and Shilpa Shetty. and you would have guessed it by now.
Yes.
Yes,
So,
no prizes for guessing that.
So I'm going to bring you over to the port city of Mangalore.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
Wonderful, and yeah, really glad that we're traveling with the local today, right? Because
know.
always that's where the most authentic experiences and stories come out from. So really, really glad. Now, tell us a little bit more in terms of the orientation, right? For some of us who might not be well versed with where Mangalore is, can you please draw out on the map where Mangalore is situated?
Sure, it's on the coast, on the western coast of India. It's in the southernmost part, just above Kerala. So it borders Kerala and it's part of Karnataka. Now, because it's a coastal area, the climate is pretty, tropical. So get ready to sweat a bit if you're coming over during summer times. It's very accessible and connected through air, through rail or land. So there are direct flights from Delhi, any of the metros, Bangalore, Hyderabad, any of these. And it's a port town. I think it's one of the sixth or seventh largest port in India. It has a lot of historical significance, packed into a small area, right? It's a very small place, actually.
Yep.
Right. So, Sampath, before we just start off, with one quick question. If a person has to travel to Mangalore, what is the best time of the year that he should plan his trip for?
There is no best time. You can travel any time. So what happens in Mangalore is there is the summer season and there is the monsoons, right? So between probably August to February is great climate. You've got it's not very hot or humid. It's after the rains, right? And it's got December is a little cold compared to the rest of the times. So that's the best time period if you may. But the monsoons during June to probably late September is a great time to travel as well, because monsoons have its own, it brings its own beauty to Mangalore. The whole place turns into a green carpet. So if you're taking the train, you see the greenery all stretching across. So the Konkan railway especially, right? There's this track. So it's really beautiful during monsoon. Just picture this: you're sitting with your, with a favorite book of yours, with a hot cup of coffee, listening to the pitter-patter of the rains, and maybe facing the beach, right? You hear the waves crashing. So that's the scene when you're in Mangalore during, let's say, monsoons. So don't miss monsoons. There's no best time. You can come over any time, and it has something to offer to any kind of traveler. The sad part of Mangalore, I wouldn't call it sad, maybe it's also fortunate, is that it's still not a hot destination on the tourist map. So that way, many of the beaches are pristine. There's a lot of untapped beauty around as well.
Absolutely.
I completely agree with you with respect to the travel, because Mangalore has, my first beach experience was in Mangalore, and I know how beautiful the beaches are. They are very clean. Compared to all the beaches I started seeing after that, very clean, beautiful waters, and the place was beautiful. So I love Mangalore.
We have like very fond memories of Mangalore also. Like I think perhaps 2 or 3 of the times we've visited Mangalore has always been for weddings, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So that's also like a lot of memories connected with Mangalore and the.
So did you drive down, or how did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
we did. At least on 1 or 2 occasions we drove down. Like that to the drive through the. I don't know which one we chose, the Charmadi or the.
Shiradi,
the other one.
is
Yeah, Shirdi. Yeah, Shirdi Ghat, right? So beautiful drive from Bangalore as well. So really looking forward to this conversation. But before we get into like the specifics of what one can expect to see and do in Mangalore, right? Would you also like to quickly touch upon you already briefly mentioned about it, but Mangalore also has like a very, very rich history, right?
That's correct.
One from the fact that it's a coastal town, right? It's always been like the gateway to a lot of trade that's been coming to India from like centuries ago. So would you like to touch upon the historical significance of Mangalore, and also like just by it's known by so many different names as well, right? That also I found like very unique.
Right, sir. So, see, like you said, it has got a lot of history behind it, and it's changed hands between different rulers, the Vijayanagara
Yeah.
kings, and the Portuguese who came in and took over. We had Vasco da Gama who had come over to St. Mary's Island. That's the start
Yeah.
of the Portuguese, invasion of Mangalore. Uh, After that, Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan has also taken over Mangalore, and then came the British, and they ruled until independence. So, from that standpoint, we had the Arab traders also come in. It was a big port town. I think even Batuta had, written about Mangalore way
Exactly.
back.
Yeah.
So it was a very significant port town, and because of all this confluence of cultures, Mangalore is also very cosmopolitan. You have a lot of different communities, in Mangalore, and different languages. So that's why exactly why you have so many names for Mangalore. It goes by the name Mangalore, of course, in English, Mangalapuram in Malayalam, Mangaluru in Kannada. You have Kudla. It's called Kudla by the locals. Kodial in Konkani language. In Sanskrit, it's called Manjaran. And also Maikala in a language called Beri. Beri is a mix, it's a mix of probably Malayalam and Tulu. Tulu is another language spoken in Mangalore.
Right.
So that's a different language. So these are the names by which Mangalore, goes, and I'm sure there will be many more names. The name of Mangalore was derived from Mangala Devi. There's a temple called Mangala Devi. So Mangaluru means the land of Mangala Devi. So that's the brief history, and you can still see these bungalows. There are a lot of these bungalows with architecture. With the Mangalore tiles are famous, so it's one of the
Yep.
contributions of Mangalore to the world. These bungalows you can see standing frozen in time between all the new structures as well. So that way, if you walk around Mangalore, you can actually sense feel the history in Mangalore.
Absolutely, and given that it's like you mentioned, right, a smallish kind of port city, that way also it'd be really difficult for anybody to miss the kind of diversity it has, right? Like you mentioned, it's been ruled over the centuries by even different Indian rulers, right? Right, starting right from the Mauryas, right? Basically Ashoka's empire, to the Kadambas, Alupas, Vijayanagara Empire,
Yeah.
the Nayaks, I understand, and like you mentioned, a very significant, I think, a milestone in the history was the Portuguese navigator and explorer Vasco da Gama actually passing through St. Mary's Island, right? Like you mentioned, on his way to Calicut. So that kind of opened up Mangalore really to the world of European trade, I
yeah.
would say, right? Because the Arabs had been coming as well. So all of that, and like you mentioned, even some of the Mysuru and Muslim rulers as well ruled there. So it's like a very beautiful concoction of all these different cultures that Mangalore has become, and even just in terms of languages also, right? You would be surprised that this is like we are repeating over and over that it's a very small place, and still it has like 3 or 4 different languages that are spoken, right? Right,
Yeah.
from Tulu to Konkani to Kannada, right? And Beri, I think that's also a different kind of a language, and the vicinity to Kerala, like
Yeah,
people speak
Malayalam
Malayalam
also.
as well.
So
it's-
wherever
it's
you're
a
from,
beautiful-
once you land up in Mangalore, you speak your language. People understand whatever language you're speaking. So that's the advantage of Mangalore. And just a few more bits of history is, I think the Portuguese brought in this cashews. Cashew is a big, Mangalore
Yeah.
is still a big exporter of cashews. Tiles I spoke about. There's also a story about how Baba Budan, stole a few coffee seeds and planted in Chikmagalur. Chikmagalur is not very far from Mangalore as well. So I'll talk about
Yeah.
those places, in and around Mangalore when we get to that. It is also, Mangalore is a highly kind of literate, town. So you have
Right.
every second house will have an engineer, a doctor, or a chartered accountant. So that's so that's the kind of population. They give a lot of stress on education. It's also headquarters of a lot of banks, Canara Bank, Corporation Bank, Syndicate Bank, Vijaya Bank. So, that way, from this small place, you've got so much of contribution to India and to the world at large.
Absolutely. And yeah, like you said, right, very, very enterprising people as well. Not just limited to Bollywood, like we called out at the beginning, but all of these different vocations that you called out. And even like other big cities, right? Perhaps look at Bombay, for example, right? Lot of people coming from this region and even abroad, like the Gulf and places like that. There's a lot of people from Mangalore actually plying their trade, like whatever they're doing. So very, very enterprising people.
Yeah, and even with respect to education, also a lot of universities, Suratkal and Manipal University around. So education, I mean, when you are there, you can feel that education is given priority. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So now just jumping a little bit deeper into what Mangalore has to offer for someone, for an outsider, right, getting to Mangalore. How would you take us around, Sampath? Like, how do you want to break down the itinerary into and the places that one can see?
Yeah, and even Sampath, like if a person has to visit Mangalore, how many days of an itinerary do you think is perfect to explore at least the important? I know there are a lot of things in Mangalore, but at least to explore the important things around.
Yeah, so see, that's the itinerary we'll have to decide based on what you're looking for. So if you've seen the Lonely Planet description for Mangalore, which I went and checked out, it says it swings between a relaxed coastal town and a hectic nightmare. So you have too many. So you could have too many things to do, as well as you may just come here to chill out, right? So just rejuvenate of sorts. But what you want to do is, if you just see what is Mangalore known for, is the temples. There are a lot of temples which are thousands of years old. Churches, big ones that you can see in and around. So let me talk a bit about the temples first.
Okay.
So you've got Mangala Devi temple, which is based on which Mangalore has derived its name. You have Kadri temple, which is about 1,000 years old, and Venkatramana temple in Car Street, which is every year there is a car festival that happens. There is a ratha that is taken through the Car Street. Saravu temple is another famous one. And a recent addition is Gokarnatheshwar temple, which is very architecturally beautiful. So these are some of the temples within Mangalore city itself. And around Mangalore, you have so many of these old temples. A lot of people from nearby places come to visit. That is Udupi temple, which is famous, Krishna temple, right? And then you have the Kollur Mookambika temple, which is famous for education. Anybody who's starting education or dance or any of these, right? People come there. Dharmasthala, Shringeri mutt, the first mutt set up by Adi Sri Shankaracharya. You have Kodial, you have Subramanya. So the list of temples is endless. There are so many great temples which are thousands of years old. You also have these Jain temples near Mangalore, which is in Moodbidri, a place called Moodbidri. And the most famous of them is the 1,000-pillar temple, which is, you would have heard of this. Each of the pillars has got a lot of inscriptions, and each inscription you'll have to look carefully. It's so intricate. That's one.
Right. Yeah, we were actually lucky enough to even go and see that temple.
Oh, you did?
Very
Okay.
beautiful architecture. Yeah, we did. Very beautiful architecture, and at least we loved. We sat there and kept looking around.
Yeah, the Jain Basadis, like they're called, right? And what's the name of the place? It starts from a K. I forget the name of the place, which has a lot of these Jain temples there, right?
Karkala? Karkala is there nearby.
Karkala.
Karkala, yes.
Yeah.
Karkala. Yeah, it's close by to Moodbidri, yeah. There's another one, another temple, which is called Ananthpura Lake Temple, which is near about 40 kilometers from Mangalore, where there is a vegetarian crocodile that guards the temple, and for more than 150 years it's been around. and Britishers apparently tried to shoot it down, but then mysteriously another crocodile appeared after the first one died, and it's still around. It eats only the prasadas that are doled out there. It doesn't eat anything non-vegetarian. And apparently there's a tunnel that connects from this place, which is near Mangalore, all the way to Padmanabha Swami temple in Trivandrum. You would have heard of Padmanabha Swami temple, right? The one where the treasures
gold.
were.
Yeah, very, very interesting stories. And yeah, a vegetarian crocodile, right? Like, who would have kind of come across the story? What are the odds? But yeah, really, really glad to hear that. And yeah, rightly to your point, there's like a lot of very important and significant temples in the area, starting right from the Mangala Devi temple, right? Like you mentioned. The other one also, like you mentioned, right? The Kadri temple, that one is like a really important temple there, dates back to the 10th or the 11th century. And the new addition as well, like you said, the Gokarnatheshwar temple, right? Yeah, that one also has like a beautiful golden gopura, right? That also is like very different, yeah. So after having like perhaps gone through a handful of these temples, depending on your interest and also depending on the time you have at hand, what else would you suggest one might look or spend time doing there?
Sure. So after these temples, you also have the churches. So the Rosario Cathedral, this is the first and probably the oldest church in Karnataka. It was built by the Portuguese. It was burned down and then reconstructed as well. So that is a must visit. You have Aloysius Chapel, which has fresco paintings, glass paintings by one of the Italian architects. You also have the Milagres Church, which is a very prominent and huge church. You will not miss it if you are getting off the train and coming into the city. So that's a huge one as well. So you do all these churches and the temples. The other thing that Mangalore is really famous for, of course, is the beaches. So since it's a coastal town, you find beaches all along the way. So some of the popular ones are Panambu Beach, which is where a lot of commercial activity goes on now. So you have the horse ride, the camel ride, and all that stuff that you find in a beach. They have also started speedboating and things like that on Panambu Beach. So it's a flat beach and it's always crowded. So if you are interested in watching people having fun, if you're that kind of person, Panambu is the place to go. Someshwar Beach, it's a rocky kind of beach. If you've been to Om Beach, I don't know if you've been to Om Beach. It's a similar structure, right? You have those black rocks, and then you can climb over the rocks, and then you overlook the beach. You can walk down to the beach. So that is Someshwar Beach, and there's a temple atop the rocks there.
We had actually been to Someshwar Beach because I think we went to Panambur. It was a little crowded, so we went to Someshwar the Someshwar beach instead. And we actually did that, climbed onto the rocks and sat there and looked at the beach and even ate hot Maggie. There was a guy selling Maggie and it was so crowded. Everybody was trying to grab their plate of Maggie from him. So we went there and got Maggie, and he was making some 20-25 varieties of Maggie alone. So yeah, we got like a hot plate of Maggie, sat there, and beautiful beach. Yeah,
interesting. I thought Maggie was the food of the mountains.
It's
also the beaches now.
Food of everywhere.
Yeah, I hope you got out without much damage after the Maggie from the beach. You also get these churmuris. I don't know if you have eaten those puffed rice mixed with spices and mangoes.
Right.
Yeah, that's fairly popular here
yes.
as well. So Someshwar Beach is a place I go usually, some weekends. The sunset is great to watch from those rocks. So, when you're in a melancholic, it puts you in a melancholic mood, but it's a stunning view there. The other beach is Tanir Bavi. I don't know if you've gone there.
Yes.
You've been there? Okay.
Yeah, so that is the first beach that I visited. The first ever beach in my entire life. So Tanir Bhavi
It's special for
yeah,
Faiza.
very special.
Oh, okay. No, Faiza, I think you should be doing this. I don't know why you called me on this show. I think you should be talking about Mangalore. You know everything about Mangalore. So,
Oh no, I mean you're the local there. You are like the expert.
yeah. So, see, there are two ways to reach Tanibavi. One is just take the road and you get there. The other is, see, there's a place called Sultan Battery, which was
Right.
a watchtower set up by Tipu Sultan, which overlooks the Arabian Sea. So, whenever enemy ships come in, they are at a strategic advantage. They can shoot it down, right? So, that's a small watchtower. From there, you get a boat to you cross the small stretch of river, the backwaters, and you reach Tanirbavi. So that's a more fun way to reach Tanirbavi. So next time you come, I think you should do that.
And I think even it's a very nice place to, I mean, the experience as well, like sitting in that boat and coming all the way. So I think one thing is you just have to like make sure that you check the timings, because I suppose we had gone there around in the morning, and he said that it only starts by 4 p.m. in the evening. I'm not sure if it's still the same, but this is what happened with us like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. So now it's big. It's become. I mean, they've built a lot of structures, and boats have become more frequent. I don't know the exact timings during the daytime, but evenings, it's all from 4 o'clock till about 8 o'clock. I think they have boats going to and fro.
I was just saying that even Tanir Bhavi, the water is, I mean, at least I don't know whether it was my experience or if it really is. Even the sand was a little more cleaner, whiter, and crystally like.
Yeah.
And the water was much more cooler and clear. Maybe that's the reason that it's even named like that. But you could feel the difference compared to Someshwar and Tanir. I mean, Someshwar, what we went the next day, and Tanir Bhavi. So, I don't know, at least I felt it was a very beautiful beach.
It's calm, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tanirbavi I find more beautiful than the other Panambur beach or any of those. But my most favorite has been Someshwar, purely because of the rocks and
Sunset.
because I'm a moody person as well. So, but if you go further north, you have Suratkal, the one you spoke about earlier, right? So that is there's a lighthouse on that beach also. So the erstwhile REC, right? So the KREC it used to be called, but now it's NITK. Suratkal is situated there, and opposite that is a beach. That's a great one as well. Then go further up, you've got Padubidri beach, which is now much more cleaner. I think that beach is also a great one if you're planning to visit. And you've got some of the good beach houses that you can rent out in that stretch. You have nearer as you reach near Udupi, you have the Kapu or KAUP is the beach, Kaup. In local language, it's Kapu. There's a big lighthouse there, so you can climb to the top of the lighthouse, and that view is amazing. So that is a must visit. I think that's one of the must visit beach that you should be on your agenda. So as you reach Udupi, again you have got St. Mary's Island, right? The one we spoke about briefly earlier. You catch a boat and then go to an island. The rocks there are shaped differently, and the waters are turquoise waters. So it's really beautiful, like some of the best beaches you would have seen abroad, right? So the photos you come out really beautiful there in St. Mary's Island. Again, I think the timings of boats you'll have to check there. And in Mangalore, you have these international kite festivals that have started in the past few years. So December, January,
okay.
Yeah. If you come down about 10 days, they have these beautiful big kites, right? People from all over the world come down. There's a kite festival that has started. So don't miss that.
It's interesting.
Yeah, so that's about the beaches, and there are a lot more beaches. I mean, it's like I said, it's a stretch of beach. Anywhere you pull up, you'll find a great, and it's much more cleaner than many of the other beaches that I've gone to. Maybe because of the tourism thing that I spoke about earlier. And there is also a cycle trail through the coast now. So you can if you're into cycling, you can go through the beach. So it's an amazing ride through that coast.
Yeah, a lot of options, right, for the beach lovers. There's a lot of options, and now having covered some of the like all of these key beaches, right? Where would you like to continue with the journey?
So, other than beaches and the temples and the churches, within the city, they have developed an area called Pilikula. Pili is tiger in local language, and Kula is pond. So, that's where tigers used to drink water, or something like that. There's a legend behind that name as well. But in Pilikula, they have developed a botanical garden. And there is a boating, a big lake, a man-made lake is there where you can do boating. There is a zoo which is really good. I think comparable to, let's say, Mysore Zoo, but not as large. But you have all the great, the tigers and well-kept animals inside. That's one. And then they have also built up a heritage village. So you can see the artisans. If you want to make, let's say, pottery, you can try your hand at pottery. And they have this old houses, how it used to be in Mangalore. So they have, you can visit that place. That's a half a day kind of thing. There is a jungle lodges also. So you can, if you want to stay in Pilikula, you can stay in jungle lodges and then visit all these places. You have the water park. I don't think the water park is active now. There is an observatory as well. So Pilikula itself is like half day to 3/4 of a day kind of itinerary. Then you can visit the tile factories in Mangalore because it's still operating. Albuquerque tile factory is famous. Then within the city, if you're walking around, Car Street is a good option. Car Street is where you get a lot of munchies and you can carry and walk around, chat with people. You get drinks, buttermilk infused with hinga stock and fancy drinks like that, which are local. So you wouldn't have tasted many of these in other places.
I remember drinking one of the drinks in Mangalore, and we tried to recreate it like so many times at home. I think it was called Bonda juice.
Bonda juice is actually a tender coconut water. This thing juice.
Yeah, but it was different. So I drank it two places. One place he had mixed watermelon with it, and the other place he had mixed sugar cane.
Oh.
So it was so crazy, and I've tried to make it like 100 times at home. That unfortunately, I think it never gave that taste how it was at that place where we drank. So my cousin took me to because my cousin studied in Manipal, and so she knew in and around the place, and she took us to these two famous, according to her, two famous Bonda juice places. But it was out of the world, like, oh my god. Yeah, so that is one thing I think if anybody's heading over on a hot sunny day to Mangalore, go ahead and please drink
Bonda
juice.
is big. Bonda is nothing but tender coconut. So language, Mangalore Tulu 101. Bonda is tender coconut. So ask for Bonda, and if they do something naughty or whatever, you can say Enchina Maraya. Enchina Maraya means what the heck, right? So useful tips for you if you are visiting Mangalore.
So this is not your Bhaji Bonda wala Bonda, right?
Yeah, so
tender coconut wala Bonda.
Yeah. Very, very minor differences. So the bonda with a longer O is the vegetarian snack. Bonda is tender coconut.
Yeah. So that was like a really nice juice that they had made because it was really good. It was
so
perfect.
they mix the meat of the tender coconut and the juice and then keep it in the fridge. It's really refreshing during summers.
Yeah, I think, since we have started getting into this, right, it's almost like quicksand, right, the cuisine and food of Mangalore. Why don't we kind of continue a little bit more and find out about these, right? I know we already started with the subtleties about the Bonda and the Bonda. One is, like you said, the tender coconut juice, and the other one is like a vegetarian, fritters type of thing, right? So little nuances for our non-South Indian listeners, I guess. But why don't you share a little bit more about the cuisines of Mangalore, right? Because that's something that, just in terms of variety and
it's a whole world in itself.
Yeah.
That's right, Seth. So if you're talking about food, I think we'll have to do a separate show on food, Mangalore food. There's a lot to talk about, because especially because it's Mangalore, just like we spoke about, there are so many communities settled in Mangalore. So the food variety that we have here is influenced by the origin all these communities. So you have the Catholics, you have the Konkani cuisine, the Muslims, the Tulu, the local, the Udupi. You would have seen Udupi hotels anywhere in India, right? Anywhere you go in India. So starting with the goli bhaji. Goli bhaji is the round dough, deep fried dough, which is really soft, crispy on the outside but soft on the inside. Goli bhaji is a standard snack in Mangalore, and the origin of goli bhaji was in a place called Mitra Samaj, which is right outside Udupi temple. So if you're going to Udupi temple, go into Mitra Samaj, get a plate of goli bhaji. That's where goli bhaji was, goli bhaji started, and the masala dosa. So masala dosa and goli bhaji origins in Mangalore. That's something you can start off with. Then you have patrode, right, which is also there in Maharashtra, which is the colocasia leaves with batter and deep fried. That is big here.
Right.
So that's for some people it creates issues in the throat. But try it before you eat the whole thing. Try a bit to make sure you don't have any itch in the throat or anything, and then take it in. The other one is the Mangalore buns, which is
Right.
buns. It's shaped like buns, but it's deep fried. So there, when I came to Mangalore the first time, I was a bit, I was into dieting and all that, trying to reduce my weight. So I was looking for something that I could have for breakfast, and buns looked like a baked thing. So for about 2 months, I had buns every day. Then I realized this is a deep fried dish, and the weight is not good.
Lord.
So, but it's a very yummy thing. It's fried and puffed. So that's Mangalore buns. It's slightly sweet also. Then you have the kachori kind of thing equivalent in Mangalore, which is called biscuit roti, which again some spicy tidbits inside a fried puffed stuff, less like kachori it looks. And the sweeter version is called sanjeera, so that's another snack. Patoli is a Konkani thing, which is again steamed rice dumpling in a turmeric leaf. So it's like an ada, right? I don't know if you know ada in Kerala, which is similar to this. You have different kinds of idlis, right? Variants of idlis, which is called pundi, mode, and all that. So these are mode, for example, is steamed inside screw pine leaves. So that leaves give the flavor also. Then you have the kotte kuduvu, which are in jackfruit leaves. So all these are variants of idlis that you have here. Neer dosa is famous. I'm sure you would have eaten neer dosa.
Of course, yes. Yeah. Attempted at home also.
Oh, okay. How did it come out? Did it come out good?
Yeah, Saif was happy with it.
It is good.
He had to be happy with it.
Yeah, let's just leave it at that.
And then I think I bet Saif hasn't eaten the real thing then. So there is.
Yeah, I did try to make it with that sugar and jaggery and coconut chutney also.
Yeah. So it goes best with non-veg, like chicken kori roti.
Exactly.
This one, the chicken curry and all that. You also have this thing called kori roti, which is a speciality of Mangalore, which is crispy dosa kind of thing, and then you make it soggy by pouring kori. Kori is chicken curry on it, and then eating it. So that's spicy and tasty. Then you have the ghee roast, right? Chicken ghee roast.
Yeah,
Right.
my favorite.
Yes.
Yeah. So you stay 1 month in Mangalore, and you can put on a lot of weight.
Yeah, I think with respect to food, the itinerary would be 1 month. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Then you have the Kundapur
Definitely.
chicken, which is again based in coconut. You have the rava fry, which is basically the fish is battered and then dipped in rava and fried, and the masala fry variant. So these are all Mangalore, specific preparations. And you have the buffet, right? You have a buffet as well. So this is a Christian dish. So once you come into Mangalore, you can keep eating. For breakfast, you have different these kind of things. You go to some of these very old restaurants here called Taj Mahal, Woodlands, any of these places, Ayodhya. These are some small hotels, authentic restaurants serving these local Mangalore dishes. And then lunch, there are so many of these small format fish restaurants that have come up. So there was an original one which was called Narayana's, which is in a very, it was a dingy place in a shady area. And
yeah, I've been there.
You've been there? Okay. So you know what I'm talking about. So
Yeah, of course. So it was like a very, I think it was an old house,
yeah.
which he's converted it into a restaurant, and we sat on the first floor. It was like the steps were really like shady, and you get on top, but you're like pretty.
And
He kept a fan
the first
right
floor
next
is for
to us.
families and those kind of crowds.
Oh, okay.
So it's a bit more cleaner than the ground floor. Yeah. But you know what you have to do? You get in and it's always full. So anytime you go there,
Yeah.
so many people standing. So you stand behind the person who is already eating and pressurize him or her into getting
Oh
up,
my
so
God.
that you can sit and get your plate. So it takes skill.
Yeah, I remember he gave this. He asked us two options for the rice: the boiled rice or the regular rice.
Yeah.
And then after we chose that, he got the rice, he got the curry on top of it. And the showstopper was the fish,
Yeah.
along with the masala that is fried. So I think practically when they fry the fish and even the crumbs of masala that gets fried along with it. So he puts that, like, sprinkles it all over your rice. So when you're eating the rice, it has that crispy
Yeah.
masala in it of the fish flavor. Oh my God, it's like a different world altogether.
I need to eat something now.
I know, right?
Yeah. So this place it's actually fun to go in there because it's you don't get a place to park or anything. It's in a crowded area near the harbor. So the whole place smells of fish, and then I think there's Taj Manjaran, which is now Taj Gateway, which is near that place. So this is right near Taj Gateway. And once you go in there, like Faisal said, you'll be served a plate of rice, and the choice is brown rice or white rice. And typically you don't get a choice as well because the place is so damn crowded. You don't wait for choices and all. You get whatever you get, you start eating. And then there's this guy who comes with a large platter of fried fish, different kinds of fish, and you point to one, and that'll be dumped on your plate. You finish your business and get out. So that's a small format fish place. But after Narayana's, there's another one called Giri Manjas, which is also pretty good. And now this kind of format has come out across the city. So there are cleaner places. These kind of places are a must visit. If you're a foodie and in Mangalore, definitely visit some of these places. And not to talk about ice cream. So once you finish your grand lunch, walk into Ideals or Pabas it's called. There's a huge ice cream parlor called Pabas. They make their own ice cream. They don't have any other branch anywhere else, only in Mangalore. And ice creams are huge portions, and it's not very expensive as well. The biggest ice cream they have costs about 140 or 150 rupees. That's it. Mm-hmm. And you can have you'll be full by the time you eat one of them. Parfait and Gudbud. You would have heard about Gudbud.
Yes,
Garbad,
yes. Yeah.
The famous Garbad, right? Yeah. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about why it's called that?
Maybe you should. I think you have. Have you had that? Okay.
Yeah, I've had that.
So it doesn't create a gut bud in your stomach. I don't know the history behind the name, Saif. But it has got a lot of these things. The jelly, the cream. You can go ahead if you know about the name.
So apparently, the backstory of this is that, like you said, it's a misnomer. It doesn't mean that it upsets your stomach or anything. It's not that kind of a garbad. But apparently, this was like one of those days where, I don't know, first started in the 60s, 70s or something, where last batch of
Leftover
patrons came there and they asked for ice creams, and there wasn't much, and they just requested that give us whatever you have, and the owner, being the enterprising Mangalorean that he was, he kind of mixed everything together, and like you said, right, it has like several layers of different flavors of ice creams, and then you have jelly and
Cream.
yeah, a lot of stuff, and it came up to be like a really tasty mix, and that's how like they called it garbar, because it was made in a hurry and it consists of everything, like all of these different things, right? So it's a beautiful mixture, and I love the story also. It's one of a kind, I would say, right? Definitely a must do and a must try while you're in Mangalore, and especially for dessert. Yes.
Yeah. So ice creams should be on your list. So if we have covered enough food, I think there's enough food we have covered for somebody new to Mangalore. There's even more. Like I said, we can do a whole show on food, but I think we are probably out of time for the food part. There's some other quirky facts about Mangalore as well. So there is this underarm cricket, which is very popular in Mangalore. So you wouldn't have seen this anywhere else. So there are tournaments with people playing underarm cricket. So that's funny. Culturally, I think Mangalore has got Yakshagana. You would have heard of Yakshagana, which is similar to,
Yes.
let's say, Kathakali of Kerala, right? So that's big. Then you have Kambla, which is buffalo race, which is again towards the harvest festival that time. And recently you would have seen the story of a Kambla jockey who ran faster than Usain Bolt.
Yes.
Yeah. So so they run along with the buffaloes. So that is big here in Mangalore. Bhuta Kola, that's another folk kind of thing. That's big culturally. You also have the cockfights and all that. So along with some of these. So the cultural side of it, if you're a photographer, traveler, that kind of person, you need to come to Mangalore to click pictures of all these. You get awesome shots. And because Mangalore is very strategically positioned, I would say, you have all the beach on the one side, the coast on the one side, and if you actually go towards west, right, you have Chikmagalur, which is a hilly area where you can do treks. So a lot of trekking options are there, waterfalls, especially during monsoons. Waterfalls are full and it's slightly risky. So we do this annual rain trek, where a bunch of friends, we go and stop our vehicle on the ghats, and then we start walking, and then there's a lot of waterfalls. We just take bath under the waterfalls and then proceed. So it's fun actually during these monsoons.
Yeah, very interesting. And a couple of other things also to add to the mix, right? Dasera is pretty popular, right, in Mangalore, Sampath, and Pili Vesha or Karadi Vesha, all of those dances also are really like different from the usual Mysore Dasera, I would say, right?
That's right. So Dasra is now they light up the whole streets, and just like Mysore, Dasra has become big in Mangalore as well. So you have the floats with carrying.
Yeah.
You have these floats. You have the a lot of these music and fun happening during Dasara. Christmas is also big, so we have lighting and all that during Christmas. The harvest time, or the New Year time, right? So that's another time. So celebrations-wise, Mangalore has got a lot of these festivals, and it's fun to be here during festivals.
That's, I mean, we have food, we have festivals, we have the beaches, we have even the religious circuit with temples and churches and whatnot. What is it that Mangalore doesn't have? But or what else is it?
And we didn't talk about adventure, right? The trekking and all those things near. Just walk to the ghats and you start climbing. Right? So some of those trekking spots are there over there. See, just like we said, Mangalore offers something to every kind of traveler. So if you're coming down for a rejuvenation kind of thing, just rent a beachside house. Stay around for a few days and then go back. If you want to come here as an adventure junkie, you have all these things that you can do, trekking or water sports and things like that. Or if you want to soak in culture and history, that's there as well. it's not very expensive also. So that way, it's for budget travelers, Mangalore is a great option. If you're a biker or a person, into driving and those kind of things, the
Solo
coast,
traveling,
solo traveling. And since it's very near Kerala, North Kerala, right? So you can base yourself in Mangalore and then probably visit some of these nearby places. Coorg is Coorg. You should go and have pandi curry, right? So that's what Coorg is famous for. And then Kasargod is nearby. So the Bekal Fort, if you remember the movie Bombay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that is Bekal Fort is amazing during monsoons. It's all green, and so that's nearby. Karwar is near. I mean, you can drive to Karwar. So that way, I think Mangalore is a great place for any kind of travelers. You can come down for 2 days if you are in Bangalore or some of the cities around, right? So take a 2-day break during your weekend, drive down to Mangalore. That's one itinerary you can look at. The other is during monsoons, come down here, take a week off, just read some good books, refresh yourself and go back. So that's another kind of itinerary. Or you come down here for religious tourism or any of these. So that's what so to reply to Faiza's earlier question on how many days itinerary should we plan. There's no real answer I can give except for based on what you're looking for, plan it out that way.
Wonderful. So thank you so much, Sampath. You have literally been a true local guide to us with the in and outs and of all the places that are not there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been like a discovery for us also because, like even you called out at the beginning, it's a quite underrated place, but just kind of figuring out and knowing all of the different, not just the languages, not just the religions, but even in terms of culture and diversity, right, of what the city has to offer, be it from beaches to temples to we explored nature, trekking, everything.
Yeah.
It's just been such a beautiful potpourri, and like the food, I'll not even like speak about it now because I think I have to go have another meal after this. God
Same
help
here,
me,
I'm already
filling in for Mangalore cuisine.
Same here, Seb. So I think next time you come down to Mangalore, you know who to contact. I can take you around.
Oh, yes.
Let's have some food.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sampath. Really, really enjoyed exploring Mangalore with you.
Same here. Thanks a lot, Seb. Paisa.
That was yet another great episode of the Musafir Stories. If you guys like the show, please subscribe to us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Savan, Pocket Casts, Castbox, Stitcher, or any other podcasting app available on iOS or Android. Please do leave us a review on iTunes. It goes a long way in the show's discoverability. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We go by the handle The Musafir Stories. Or, if it suits you, you could email us at themusafirstories@gmail.com or visit our website at www.themusafirstories.com for more information. All of these links will be made available in the show notes section of each episode. So here's to more traveling, sharing, and inspiring. Stay tuned for our next episode. Until then, happy travels and goodbye.